Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the DoDeals Show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
All right, we are live on Facebook. Well, hello, everybody. This is your host, Tim Mai. Today, I have Don Costa on the line with us. We're about to do this entire interview, but I wanted Don to share with you. He just shared with me how he does 4 to 5 deals a month just from networking, which is a free source of leads for you, right? Free source of deals. So, Don, how do you do that, buddy?
You get out there and you tell the world exactly what you're doing. You get out there and you make sure everybody knows it. You get on, you go to RIAs, you call real estate agents, you invite them to coffee, you invite them to lunch. When you're at the RIAs, you invite anybody you can to coffee or lunch. You just get the word out there. I would do what I call trolling Craigslist, right? I get on Craigslist and anybody had an ad on Craigslist said, "We buy homes." I'd call them up and I'd be like, "Are you a cash buyer? Are you a wholesaler?" They're a wholesaler. Great. I'm a cash buyer. Let's go to lunch. Let me take you to lunch. If they're a cash buyer, I'd be like, "Great. I'm a cash buyer too. Maybe we can do some business together." So it was just a matter of being aggressive and, being hungry and hunting for it and getting on there and constantly talking to people. And that was what I did when I was broke and I didn't have a dime to get going, right? And I still actually do that. That hasn't changed in my business. If you're a wholesaler I work with or an agent I work with and I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks, I'm on my phone texting you saying, "Hey, how's it going? You mind if I stop by your office? You want to go to coffee?" So it's just a matter of just keeping the word out there and letting people know what you're doing. A lot of people look at networking and they think it's an obvious thing, right? But they don't realize how many doors it opens. When you're in the forefront of somebody's mind and they know what you're doing, it opens a lot of doors. And we literally get calls on a regular basis from people saying, "Hey, you're the first person that I thought of when I had this deal come across my desk." So getting out there and making sure you're telling people, not just networking and shaking hands and, "Hi, I'm Joe and here's my card." It's, "Hey, let me take you to coffee. Hey, let me take you to lunch. Let's have a conversation about what we're doing," and really kind of building relationships, building credibility with people and letting them know what you're doing.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so you're very active, not just passively networking, once a while go to an event, but you're very actively networking, following up with them every few weeks, right? Every couple weeks, like staying on top of their mind so that way, as soon as they get a deal, boom, Don is the person that they're going to call.
Absolutely. Building relationships, building teams. Again, it's not just handing a card out and saying, "I'm a real estate investor, I'm a cash buyer," but having a credible conversation with them and then following up on that conversation, calling them up, texting them, taking them to coffee, taking them to lunch. The agents that I work with now that bring me the pocket listings and the short sales before anybody else sees them, they're the people that I called up and said, "Let's go to lunch." I took the time to take them to lunch and have a conversation with them and build a relationship with them. Relationships in this business go a long way. Whether you're talking to a seller and you're trying to get them to trust you to buy their house, or you're talking to an agent or another investor for private money, relationships, people forget to invest in the relationship. And networking is a huge component of opening the door to those relationships. Open the door to them and then invest in building rapport and building that relationship. And so many good things happen because of that. Literally a large part of the volume we do in our business is because of relationships. We beat every bush, we market, we do direct mail, we buy off the MLS, we beat every bush. But I would say that the most cost effective and largest volume of our deals comes from networking and the people that we built relationships with. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Really great tip. I want to expand on your tip because you mentioned, this is what you were doing when you were dead broke, didn't have any money.
Right.
So someone either starting new or someone, starting over where they don't have much money or no money at all, one of the big fears would be like, well, how can I go out there and network and tell people I buy houses, I'm a cash buyer, I'm looking for deals when I don't have any money? How do you overcome that?
Well, when I didn't have a dime, I owned what I was doing. I did a post a while back where I talked about the as if mindset, right? Where you think as if you're already there. And when I approached people and said, "Hey, I'm a cash buyer, and this is because I'm going to be flipping houses," I just basically believed that the money was there. And I know that sounds corny and crazy, but that's how I was able to accomplish it. If I called an agent and I said, "I'm a cash buyer and I'm looking for good deals," I had in my head that I had several $1,000,000 behind me to buy, even though I didn't. That was just how I presented myself, how I carried myself, and how I approached it. And because I knew that if I had a good deal, that the money was going to be there. If I had a good deal, it was a legitimately good deal. My numbers were correct, and there was money to be made on that. I was either going to get a private money investor or I was going to be able to wholesale it. So I knew that I would be able to accomplish that. And I think it was when that switch flipped, right? And that belief in my head that, if I had a good deal, I was going to get the money. So the money was there and I had all the money I needed to do the deal. And I carried myself with that kind of conviction that so many doors opened up.
All right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. What if, right? It's almost like that. I don't know where I've heard it, but about like, fake it till you make it, right? So it's like.
To a certain degree, yeah, right? Fake it till you make it. But it's more of, the practical reality is, if you're brand spanking new and you come in and you have a deal, I'm going to buy your deal, or I'm going to work with you. So I'm a buyer in my market. There's buyers in other markets that are just like me. And so if you're getting started and you found a deal, again, network, because you're going to find, I go to RIAs all the time. I'm active in the community for various reasons. And so you're going to come across a guy like me that's going to have the capability of buying those deals. So the money's there. The key right now is getting out there and getting to know the people and building the team and building the relationship and the network so that you can execute, you can act upon, the deal, or you can learn what the right numbers need to be to make it a deal. That's the key. And that's networking. That's getting your butt out there. There's no other way to do it if you don't have any money. You got to get your butt out there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Don. And so everyone, we're going to get off of Facebook now and, move to the rest of our interview here. But, just so that way a little bit about Don. Don does over 100 flips where he fixes them, sell them retail per year in the Central Valley, California market. And, he's been doing this since 2003, went through that market crash, got hurt from that, came back up. And so the rest of the interview here, we're going to talk about his comeback and how he's structuring his business now different than before the market crash. And so, if you like this interview so far, make sure you like it, comment on it, share with your friends, and keep an eye out for when we post the entire interview so that way you can learn more about how to set up a real estate investing business and not just, a hobby business that can get you hurt when the down market happens. So, yeah. So with that, all right, Facebook, see you for now. Cool. All right, Don.
Did you get what you wanted out of
that? We did. Yeah. That was great. So cool. Let's talk about, take us back, to how you get started in real estate investing the first time, right? And then share with us a little of your story of your journey there.
When I first got started in real estate investing, I think like anybody else out there, I had the fear mentality. I watched it from afar. I listened to Carlton Sheets and the infomercials and different things like that. I went to the auctions and stood and watched, but I didn't execute. Because in my mentality, my mind frame at the time was that, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the knowledge. It's the same fear that everybody else has, right? So when I got into it, I actually was interviewing to be a loan officer, and the guy interviewing me across the table said, why do you want to do this? And I said, I really don't want to be a loan officer, but I don't know why I was honest with him, but I was. I don't want to be a loan officer, but I want to be a real estate investor, so I want to learn the financial side of it. Want to master that. And he said, okay, well, go find properties and I'll put the money up. And again, that's where that, again, things like that make you realize if you have good deals, the money's there. So basically I went out and I started knocking on doors and realized that I had a knack for getting people to sell me their house. I was working pre-foreclosures, and the guy, we bought a handful of properties and kind of went from there. It just, all the switches were flipping in my head that, all the things that I could do. I'm good at getting deals. The money's there if you have a great deal. And, I just went out and started, crushing the business, but again, that was a market where if you threw a rock at a house, you can make money, right? It's 2003, 2004. If you bought a house and you did nothing to it but sit on it for 4 months, you could sell it for $30,000 more. You bought it for it. So while in my head I thought that I was the master of all things, the reality was I just had the advantage of a great market. And so that's where we go into the crash, and that's where the awakening comes. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got started in it.
Right. Okay. So what what went wrong? Like what looking back at it again. How could you had survived that market crash?
Well, I didn't run my business like a business. First and foremost, number one, I wasn't paying attention, to one core principle in my business. Like, am I a flipper? Am I a wholesaler? I thought that I could do all things. So, we started flipping, and then I had a agent that I was working with that said, basically, I have clients that want to buy your property. Let's start a real estate company. And so I started a real estate company, and he's like, well, now they need loans. So let's start a mortgage company. So I started a mortgage company, and now they need somebody, because they're from the Bay Area. They need somebody to manage those. So let's do a property management company. So we started a property management company. So we had all that going on, and to a certain degree, that was all under one umbrella, of real estate. So as long as you're paying attention to that, you were great. But I thought that I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I had months where I was making over $100,000 a month. I think the worst month I ever had was making like $30,000 in a month. I was just making so much money. It was stupid. And, we had 3 offices, San Jose, Fresno, south of Fresno. We had multiple agents. We had this good thing going. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start other companies. So I got involved in a restaurant project. I got involved in a new baby bottle design project. I got involved in a sunglass line. And so I wasn't paying attention to any one business. And as a whole, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you put the infrastructure and the team in place to manage your business for you, right? But I didn't do that either. I didn't do that. So much money was coming in from everywhere that I was just like, I didn't have the right team in place, and I didn't realize that there were major insufficiencies in my operation that were going to, in the long term, cost me money, and were costing me money at the time. But I had more money coming in that was going out, so I didn't realize it. I wasn't paying attention. I was naive, and so you have that going on, and then our rehabs would take 6 months, 8 months, but that was fine because we'd sell them for $50,000 more, $60,000 more than we projected because the market was constantly going up. So if you're in a situation where you're making way too much money and you're way too, I guess, naive, young, you're not going to pay attention to the essentials, and that's what happened. So what's the difference now is we run our business like a business. I know my numbers. I know all my numbers. I know what's going out. I know what's coming in. I know why. All of our business, we still have some multiple business structures in place, but they all tie into each other. There's no distraction. And I have a great team in place. I have project managers that make sure that we're on budget and on time on our projects. I have somebody that does our accounting internally that makes sure that, all of our accounting systems are in place and our files have the proper information. I have an acquisitions guy that is just absolutely phenomenal at that. And, he heads up the acquisition side. So my previous operation, if I disappeared for a month, my business would have just basically collapsed. In this operation, if I disappear for a month, they won't even miss me. So, it's running it like a business that really makes a difference. And part of that, I think, is removing the arrogance from myself, right? That everything I touch turns to gold. I realize that it's nothing about how great I am. It's about how great the team is that we have here. So, yeah.
That's really good tip. So after the market crash, you stopped doing real estate for a while, right?
Right.
And when you got back in, what initiated that? What triggered that? You was like, hey, you know what? It's time. I want to try again, and I'm gonna do it differently this time.
That's a good question. That's actually a great question because I actually kind of avoided real estate for a little while. I was scared of it. I had, lost confidence in my ability to to judge a good project. And I didn't know how stable the market was. And there was a lot of factors of being scared. The reason why I got back into it was honestly necessity. I have a college degree, but the jobs that I was trying to apply for, I needed a higher degree than what I had. And then the jobs that didn't require that degree, I was overqualified for various reasons, and they weren't hiring me. So I couldn't get a job. Back, at that point in the market, I don't know, hardly anybody was able to get a job, but I definitely couldn't get a job. And there wasn't anything else that I knew I was absolutely just good at and passionate about. I loved real estate. I loved making the deal. I loved seeing these projects come together. And so I just had to have a heart to heart. I looked in the mirror one day and I'm like, all right, there's no other choice. This is what I'm good at. This is what I love. And I can't get a job. I can't get that stability that I'm trying to get. At that time, my mind frame wasn't abundance and wasn't building my own dream. It was just getting stability. I literally, we talked before this, I pulled up to a gas station and had to pay for a gallon of gas in quarters. I went to Taco Bell, took my family out for a treat. I looked at a credit card I had and it said $90 balance. Well, available balance and balance are two different things. I didn't look at the available balance. And so I'm like, let's go to lunch and let's go to a movie. And so I went to Taco Bell and the card didn't work. And we're in a packed Taco Bell and it's $20, right, for this meal. And the card doesn't work. And the guy's like, wait, you don't have any other payment? I'm like, no, I don't have any other payment. So I had to cancel the order and pack my family up and leave Taco Bell over $20. And that didn't bother me. It's weird. Like I have thick skin. That didn't bother me. But when I'm holding my kid's hand, he's like, well, Daddy, how come the mean guy didn't give us our food? That crushed me. And so it was moments like that where I realized this isn't going to work for me. I got to do something, and nobody's hiring me. So I just basically flipped a switch in my head and said, if I have the deal, the money's there and I'm going to get up and go to work. And I started putting ads on Craigslist and I started calling agents and I started calling people on Craigslist. And I just acted as if I already had it and I owned it and I made it happen. And it's funny because I found an investor. I lined up a money guy to help me, to partner with me, to buy joint venture with me to buy these projects. And I was sitting with him and we'd had a couple meetings at Starbucks and lunch and different things. And I was sitting with him, building that relationship, trying to get him to commit to funding me. And right in the middle of that meeting, my wife texts me and says, our water got shut off. And literally, we're talking about rock bottom, man. And she texts me the water got shut off. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I can go home right now and deal with this, or I can sit here and handle it. And I made the decision to sit there and close the guy. And I got the commitment to fund me on a project and went home and turned my water on myself. Broke a few rules there. But I made the decision. I didn't get up and run away from it, right? I made the decision. I'm going to close the guy right here and there. And I closed him and we did a deal together and I made 10 grand off that deal. The money was gone before I even got it. But I made 10 grand and I was back, and then we went and did a couple more and it just built it from there. So
that's awesome. Wow. That's an amazing story. And thank you so much for sharing that with that level of authenticity and transparency. It's so inspiring. And because I've been through that market crash. A lot of people have been through that market crash, and some are still hurting from it, right? Like even to today,
they're still scared,
they haven't been able to mentally get the mind back and says, okay, I'm ready now, right? And so I think that your story is gonna have gonna make a very big difference for those people listening. That hope is there, right? And it's
there, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. And so how many businesses do you have now within this umbrella?
We have 4 different businesses. We have the real estate side, we have the flipping side, we have some different other things we have going on in the organizations. There's 4 of them. We have a holding company, so we have 4 total.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, and they all feed each other in terms of.
They all feed each other. Yeah.
Okay, so. That's great. Okay, so how did you go about doing that first deal, doing a few more deals, and growing and gradually expanding into multiple businesses, and now doing over just in your flipping business over 100 deals a year. So give us some insights into that growth process.
basically I did the one deal. Okay. And I made a little bit of money, and I went out and I told a friend of mine what I was doing. The guy I've known for so many years, hardworking, great manager, but knew nothing about the real estate business, but I knew he could be a great project manager. So I sold him on joining me and coming in and working with me to be a project manager for me. And so I brought him in. I went to a friend of mine that was a broker, and I said, basically, come work with me, and we'll set up the real estate company. And so as the three of us, we started out basically meeting in a Starbucks on a regular basis, and we started looking for deals. So I think I sold my first flip back in the market in September and got paid. And on November 1st, we closed on another one. And November 2nd, we closed on another one. So we bought two at once with these two gentlemen kind of working with me. And we did the two. It's tough when you get going because a lot of people say, oh, it's easy to find a contractor. It's so easy to find that. We burned through, bad contractors. We burned through. But my thing was building a team. That was my whole thing, was building a team. So I wanted to make sure that everything we did was about growing a business that had sustainability. So we did the two. I didn't try to overgrow that. And then once we got those completed, we actually picked up one more, and then two more, and then three at a time. And so it was just kind of hit and miss, right? But the reason why it wasn't like it just took off was I was trying to build a team. I wanted the right contractors. I wanted the right vendors. I wanted the right people in place. And so once we kind of got those things ironed out, the right private money, then we just went crazy. Like, it was a combination of, we increased our marketing, we increased our networking efforts, and then just starting to get a name in the area where people were bringing us deals. So it's a matter of just kind of stacking one chip on top of the other. People think you go out and you do direct mail campaign, and you're going to make $100,000, or it's not necessarily that way. Some people do; they hit it out of the park. But for me, it was just a matter of stacking the right pieces together until it took on its own momentum. And once it took on its own momentum, it's been incredible.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay. And so besides networking, I guess let me take a step back with the networking. Are you the only one in the company that's out there networking, or is everyone in the company, or just the acquisition team? Like who's out there doing the networking?
Everybody in the company is trained to network. I'm probably the most aggressive at it. Our acquisitions guys are pretty aggressive at it, but even our project managers, and networking it's not just going out to people who can sell you a property. It's also a combination building relationships with vendors. So if they're driving down the street, people drive for dollars, well, they're driving for contractors, right? If they're driving down the street and they see somebody doing landscaping, they're going to stop and ask for a card. If they see somebody working on a property, they're going to stop and ask for a card. And so all aspects of our business is built off of, a certain degree of networking that way. And then we'll follow with those people. We'll do our mini interview. We'll look at projects they completed. If we feel good about them, we might have them do a project for us and see if they work out. So everybody does networking on some level within our organization.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
okay. And then what are other types of leads sources, or other ways that you find deals? And I guess in terms of percentages, networking accounts for how many percentage of your deals versus, direct mail versus MLS and so on?
Networking probably is about, I would say, a good 40 to 50% on any given month. It might, and it shifts. We might do, buy from 3 wholesalers, do 2 MLS transactions. One of those might be a short sale we've been working on for a while. And then we might get 2 or 3 from somebody we've been networking with on a regular basis. So it's always a different combination, so I can't really say every month networking is X or every month MLS is X. We shake every bush for a reason. If I lived just off the MLS, I'd starve. If I lived just off of networking, my business wouldn't be where it's at. So we take nothing for granted. We have regular direct mail that goes out every month. In fact, we're working on a campaign, getting ready to go out, this morning. So, and every month it's a different ratio. We might buy 2 from direct mail. We might buy 2 from MLS. We might buy 3 from wholesalers, and the rest from networking. So I would say it's a good portion of it. It's a large portion of it. Some of the best deals I do profit wise are from networking. They're pocket listings or something to that effect. I consider purchases from wholesalers networking. I'm building relationships with wholesalers. I'm going out and networking with these guys. Some of them, we bring them into our office and we train them on how to evaluate a deal so that when they find a deal, they know it's a deal and we're the ones they bring it to. So yeah, so it's a combination of all factors, but it's a good 40 to 50% on any given month.
Okay, that sounds good. And then who, like the direct mail that you do, who are you mailing to?
We mail from different sources to different people. We do some, like everybody else, we do some absentee. We do some equity, like a different variation of criteria for equity. We do some driving for dollar stuff. Again, it's a combination. It's not just one thing. So I've had great success with absentee. Everybody mails to absentee. So we don't, that's not our only source, but we've had success with it consistently. So we consistently mail to it. We do, the equity list. That's more of a long-term list. They're not necessarily a motivated seller. So there's somebody you have to touch multiple times, but we have that list because we get some phenomenal properties from that list. So it's a combination of things. Again, it's one of those things. I'm a big proponent of shaking every bush. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, Tim, this is the list you should mail off of because it's a magical list, right? And that's not my belief system. My belief system is that you got to shake every bush, and every list has potential. We picked up a home run off tax default, the other day. So we try to hit every single list that we possibly can, and we have kind of a regimented mailing system where postcards go out for this list on this week and then this list on the next week, and so we track it all, where we constantly want to know what the call volume is, what the conversion rate is, all that kind of stuff. So
that's awesome. Wow. Okay. Man, we can go on and on
right.
and go deeper, right? But obviously, you have a lot to share, and I know you have a podcast as well. So if people want, the listeners wants to reach out to you, learn from you, get in touch with you, maybe do some deals with you, sell some deals to you, lend you some money, whatever the case might be, where would you like to send them?
They can contact me at don@fliptalk.com. So that's, Don, D-O-N. And Flip Talk is the podcast. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. They can find it just about anywhere. Right now, they can go to fliptalk.com. The website isn't fully live as of the date we're recording this, maybe when you actually put it out there. But there is, they can put their email in so they can be notified whenever we launch new episodes. And I do respond to my emails. If you email me directly at don@fliptalk.com, I will actually respond to you. So
I love how you're so personable.
Yeah, definitely. It's I've been blessed. I think that by losing everything and being able to build it back, I have a perspective that a lot of people don't. And, I love to share that perspective. I love to help people out. So, I just, I like the interaction. It's fun. So
that's good. So
yeah.
So what made you decide to do this podcast? And what are your goals for the podcast?
It's twofold. So, part of the reason I decided to do it was because I got to a point where my business was running so well that it didn't need me every single second. You listen to guys on podcasts where they'll say, I set up systems and I never even see the homes. And when I first started listening to those podcasts, I was like, oh, they're full of it. There's no way. I'm doing 5 flips right now and I want to bang my head against a brick wall and I'm going crazy. And then I had this moment where I was actually talking to one of my private money lenders, and he goes, hey, Don, are you going to put windows in that property? And I was like, I don't know. Let me ask Lou. And then he's like, what cross street is that house on? I was like, I don't know. Let me ask Lou. And I realized I don't even see the houses anymore. Right. So yeah, when people talk about systems and putting the infrastructure in place and that they don't see the properties, they're actually not nuts. You can't get to that point if you put the right team in place. So I got that team in place and I was kind of bored. And I was like, all right, well, what else can I do? Well, I like interacting. I like the interaction with people. So I figured, let's do a podcast. And that's part of it, more of a hobby. But honestly, the selfish side of it is I get to talk to incredible people like you and, the people that I interview from my show, and I get to learn how they're doing things. And, maybe it's something we're going to implement in our business to make our business better, so really, as long as I've been in this business, I still have a lot to learn myself, and I get the opportunity to do that with some really successful people in the business. So that's the other reason. I do it. So yeah, there's the twofold. Long answer.
That's awesome. I love that because I mean, yeah, like I've done quite a bit of these interviews throughout the years, and I'm often amazed at the many different ways that people are out there doing their deals.
Right.
And doing it successfully. I was interviewing a couple guys that, they focus on wholesaling, but their wholesale profit per deal, it's like typically over $100,000 on average, like $200,000 a deal.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it shatters any limiting beliefs or any set beliefs that I have about the business, whether it's wholesaling, flipping, buy and hold. It's just like, man, like just all the different ways that creative investors, entrepreneurs out there make things work is just an amazing thing. And yeah, like I said, I get to meet people like you.
Right.
And so it's really awesome. Well, Don, thank you so much, buddy, for this really, really great interview. I appreciate you greatly. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And you are a huge inspiration for me, and I'm sure for many of the listeners listening in right now. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. It's been great. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this interview. If you like this interview, rate us, review us. Make sure you share it with your friends. And with that, happy investing. We'll see you on the next interview. All right, everybody. See ya.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.